Today I'm harvesting the elephant garlic. Now this is the first week of January, which is shortly after the summer solstice here in Tasmania, so midsummer, and it is now ready to harvest. You don't want to let it go too far. You don't want to see this dry off or go yellow. At the stage where the heads are forming like this, I've broken them off to stop the nutrient going up there, but when they are starting to ripen up like this is the ideal time to harvest them. These I will cut off the roots with a knife and wash them before drying them out, and then I'll hang them to store them. One of the reasons I grow quite a lot of elephant garlic is that it keeps so well. Unlike the regular garlic, this won't actually germinate or grow, I find, until you actually put it into the soil. So that remarkable keeping characteristics really makes it great. Elephant garlic, of course, is a leek, not a true garlic, but it still has the flavour, even if it's not as strong. But it, of course, being a larger clove, it's easier to use anyway. The regular garlic this year I harvested earlier, around about a month ago, and it was probably a little bit late then when I did harvest it. The white variety, you'll notice, is pathetic, and the reason is that it had a fungal disease in its growing stage and it just really inhibited the development of the garlic. I've not had this happen before, so not all gardening is a success and sometimes failures come along. The purple garlic, however, grew fantastically. Beautiful big bulbs, lovely. If you open this up, the size of the clove, it's quite difficult to come apart, very tight. Here you can see the size of the clove is really great. It's actually almost as big as the bulb of the white garlic, so that's a pretty incredible result. Now these were grown side by side, so it's quite evident that this purple garlic was resistant to the disease that the white garlic had. So next year I won't be growing this, I'll be growing this. An interesting point here is that I was originally given this purple garlic at about that size, and it had obviously been grown in very hard conditions. After a couple of years of growing it myself, this is what it now looks like. So garlic size is very much dependent upon the nutrition that you give it. Now in terms of keeping the true garlic, it is a lot harder and it will germinate out of the ground when it is triggered by temperature changes. So the key to keeping it is to keep it in a stable temperature, and that is generally somewhere warm, remarkably enough, because it's when it starts to cool down that it recognizes the onset of winter, and it regards that as the time of germination. One of the characteristics of elephant garlic are these little mini bulblets that develop around the main bulb, and when you're actually pulling it out of the ground, these will come off. You see how loose it is there, it will just come off and stay in the ground, so that, well, some of these have stayed on, probably half of them have stayed in the ground, and they will grow. Now you can grow the garlic from that, but they will take probably at least 3 to 4 years to develop into a full-size bulb. What that means though is that where you've planted garlic, if you're not actually cultivating it on a regular basis, you will get elephant garlic coming up again. Now you'll notice amongst this garlic that I'm harvesting that there's a lot of what looks like weed from here, probably. What it is a mixture of buckwheat that is flowering, and that has come up because I have grown buckwheat here previously as a green manure and actually let it go to seed, which wasn't ideal, so it's now turned into a weed. But I don't mind it, it's a good thing, and I'll try and harvest a bit of seed from it. Also there is perpetual spinach growing there. Letting it go to seed is the one way you actually make it perpetual. And I don't mind that at all because it will give me more seed and more spinach again next year to enjoy. One of the reasons I cut these roots off is because they contain so much soil, and because I want to clean them and wash them before they find their way eventually to the kitchen. They're much nicer if they're clean to use in the kitchen. The easiest way to get rid of this soil is just to cut the roots off, and the roots can then be composted and return the soil back to where it belongs. So as I mentioned previously, after washing I will leave these now for a few days to dry in the sun. There's no shortage of sun this time of the year in Tasmania. Once they have dried out in the sun a little bit, I will then hang them to keep them for later use. Now once the tops have actually dried completely, I quite happily cut the tops off and bring them into the house. So enjoy your garlic, whichever type of garlic you choose to grow. If you haven't got it out of the ground in summer, now's the time, do it, and don't leave it too long.